Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you all on the day 2 of the CorpGini virtual conference on the future of design and construction. This is a 3-day series, each day starting at 11 a.m. IST in collaboration with GMetri, Credai, Equals to Design Lab, KPA Architects, and Flow Design. I am your host for today, Neha Jain, co-founder of CorpGini. CorpGini is a platform for corporates to discover and learn disruptive technology solutions and engage with startups to adopt innovation. Yesterday was the day 1 of the series, and I'm glad that it was a great success with more than 22,000 participants joining over Zoom and Facebook Live, where we discussed on reality check, industry impact, business continuity, and how technology adoption can play a crucial role for faster recovery and long-term sustainability. Of course, not to forget, none other than Shri Ratan Tata shared his view on the panel about importance of rethinking the design landscape to cope up with scenarios that will emerge post the pandemic. And to continue the lead, today we have renowned architects, designers, and thought leaders from academia who are going to discuss the future of design and the paradigm shift in the architectural landscape that could possibly occur because of the global pandemic and what practical solutions and technology interventions should one take to overcome the pandemic. Quick instructions for the audience from my side. We will have 2 back-to-back panel discussions, and the second one will start at 12 noon. We will be taking audience Q&A. Feel free to ask your questions in the link at the bottom on the Zoom screen. We will begin the first panel with my friend Utsav Mathur. Hi Utsav, and Sharam, who will be moderating the first panel. So a quick introduction about Utsav and Sharam. Utsav is an architect and technologist known for his pioneering research and work in the rapid construction industry. He is the founder and CEO of GMetri, a virtual reality platform doing groundbreaking work across industries like training, skilling, and retail. He specializes in data-driven conceptualization, designs, and robotics, and holds a master in advanced architecture from IAAC Barcelona. Sharam, sorry, I couldn't get through your introduction. So Sharam is an architect as well, and he is an architect with KPA Architect and Design. Sharam, you can add few more lines to your introduction. So yeah, over to you, Utsav and Sharam.
Yes, I think we're going to come in very quickly, and Sharam is sorry for the slight confusion over there. Sharam, if you can just come in and introduce yourself very quickly, I think that would be best right now.
Hi, good morning, everyone, all the viewers. My name is Sharam Randeria. I'm from Equals to Design Lab. I'm an architect and have done my master's in interaction design and robotics. And that's it. I think back to you, sir.
Yes, perfect. So thanks so much everyone for joining. We're seeing a lot of people from across the globe, especially following the landmark event that we had yesterday. Today again is going to be a power pack session. The first session for you, we're going to have a panel discussion on the future of design and education in this industry. During this entire discussion, of course, we focus more on solutions. So we're all faced with, we're living in the post-pandemic era, and this is a time where we've had, the chance to rethink, pause, and reevaluate a lot of decisions that we've made in the past. So we have a stellar panel in front of us today, and I'm going to bring in Sharam to introduce everybody very quickly. Over to you.
Sure. Thank you so much. I would like to start by thanking all the panelists for being a part of this, giving us some of your time. I would like to start off with architect Hafiz Contractor. I don't think he needs any introduction. He's a Padma Bhushan award-winning architect from 2016. His impact in the skyline of an environment of most of metropolitan India is unmistakable and identifiable. And he's one of the top reasons why I actually got into architecture. Thank you for being on board. We have architect Krishnan Venkatesh Varan with us. who's actually principal architect at KPA, Krishnan Parvez Architects, a great educator, one of my mentors throughout my formative years of architecture. His design basically deals with detail-centric and very human-centric design, basically. So then we have architect Dushyant Ashar with us. He's the co-founder and principal architect at the Urban Project. As an architect and urbanist, he's interested in developing spatial tools that structure complex urban strategies, and is also an educator as well. We also have Mr. Shri Ratan with us, who has more than 25 years of experience in teaching architecture and development research, and is a professional, also professional practicer. He also heads the Center for Research on Architecture and Urbanism at CEPT. And finally, we have architect Senthil Doss, better known as Scud by his students. He is a principal architect and founder of Play Architecture and is best known for his work SIA in Chennai. Thank you all for being with us. Actually, I would like to start the conversation by getting into a quick question for all of you all. These days, architecture is one of the problems. We do things for problem solving. So what is the problem on your drawing board that you scrapped earlier and are rethinking about after this pandemic? I would start with architect Hafiz Contractor.
What's the question? You know, you said that
I'm gonna repeat it very quickly for you, sir. Basically, the question is very simple. If there was a problem that you were working on, and then all of us were hit by COVID, right? Like, so everything changed. The considerations we have to make have changed entirely. So what are the things, like, is there a problem that you had, sir, that you were in the midst of designing, where all of a sudden, post the pandemic era, you're rethinking that? Is there something that you've scrapped? Is there something that you're rethinking?
Okay. I would like to say that COVID has come, you know, just suddenly, but I have been looking at it and the way things are happening. I have been seeing for a long time that we all are not doing everything in the right manner, and something is going to happen. And for me, the story started when I was sent to China a long time back, and what was happening, how things were getting, you know, farms were getting destroyed, and how, you know, cities were expanding. And when you talk to any client also and say that, okay, don't cut trees, don't do this, don't do this, after pushing, uh, it never used to happen. And I would say that we are in each and every project of ours, we try to do all those things that we believe that should be done. But I feel that in a way, it'll be nice if we all get up from our sleep, and small things also, if we can start doing, it will really happen. So
Perfect. Yes, sir.
we are already trying it. I can't, on this forum, can't say what we are exactly doing. So you can't say that what this corona pandemic, you know, what are you doing? I would do the same thing, and now I'm happy in a way. I'm sorry to say I'm happy in a way, but I'm saying that it is obvious that something has to be done. Everyone has to get up from their sleep. Okay.
Corona was something that was where that, or Corona or something other of this scale would have happened eventually. That's what Hafiz is saying. So basically, it's good. It's almost like a wake up call that, you know, we all have to rise to. He was already working on you know, on basically addressing this even before this. So now let's hear a little bit of a view across the board. I'm going to request you to just keep your answers very quickly, right? Because we just do a very quick session across the board over here. I'm going to go over to Senthil, sir. Senthil, sir? Scud, sir? Hi. I'm going to, you're on mute, so you'll have to unmute yourself. I'm so sorry. I'd do the same for Dushyant and Krishnan as well. Please unmute yourself. Yes, Senthil, sir, over to you.
Yes,
I think we're seeing a bit
being a
of a
research-based practice, and I've been in agriculture. Very interestingly, 2 years back, we had floated a problem to the students, which was about nothingness. So we took students to various historical sites and then asked them to kind of look back and then ask them to see the way we consume and how we can draw inspiration from basic necessities of life. This then kind of triggered interest in us. And then we started working with natural stone as a structure in collaboration with B.L. Manjunath, structural engineer. And the idea is to eliminate steel and concrete completely, and a process in which we can arrive at a new order by means of assembly, pure assembly. And this will not depend on the density of the stone, which is the traditional method of construction. Rather, we want to use the surface as the medium of transferring load. So I think that's something which has been a very, very interesting research, which has been going on in the office for the last 6-7 months as of now.
Absolutely, sir. I'm going to go over for a very pinpointed answer over to Dushyant from the Urban Project. Just what do you think? Is there a problem that you were working on that has changed, that you've started rethinking?
Actually, I think I am now in context. I mean, we were already working on a research project which is exploring new technologies, new techniques, and new materials. So I think we are kind of spot on over there, and I'm sure that I think that's the way to kind of move ahead. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Srivatsan sir, what is your take on this?
I have 2 points to make. One, both are connected to how we teach design and how we do it. The first is every project has 3 components: a design phase, a prototype phase, and a production phase. Now, what the contingency is sort of shown us is that the gap between all the 3 phases, the design, prototype, and production, has to be compressed. Because in a conventional way that we have been doing so far, there is a quite widespread there. So probably how do we do that without sort of compromising on mentoring of the teaching design is a challenge. Second, what this contingency has also sort of brought to us notice is that we have to get the making more central to learning. So how can you make things quick, fast, respond to contingencies? How can you be agile, and so on and so forth? So these are not new ideas, but it's going to come back to the center of the table.
Definitely, ideas that have gained more and more relevance now. So agility in architecture is that how can we speed up the entire processes? Absolutely, Krishnan sir, over to you.
Definitely, there is a comeback to the drawing board, as you say, because as I visualize right now, there are a few projects that we're doing which are in the public realm, and there is definitely the drawings are coming back to the board, because there is going to be a huge difference in how we look at the same project now post-COVID rather than how we've already done it. So yes, the answer is yes. We're coming back to the drawing
board. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for all those answers. As we see, the migrant worker problem is going to hit all of architecture and construction as we know it. And my next question would be, how big a role is technology and automation going to play in the post-pandemic world? What kind of new technologies or advanced kind of construction styles that are going to start up? I would like to take this question to architect Dushyant Ashar to start off. Architect Dushyant,
yeah.
Could you brief us on what do you think the big role of technology and automation is going to be for the future?
I think there's a bit of a connection error. Maybe Sharab, we can just take Hafiz sir's view on this.
No, we'll take Hafiz sir's input on that.
Hello, am I audible?
You want to ask Dushyant to answer first?
Hello?
Go ahead, sir, go ahead. You go ahead. Hafiz sir can go ahead first, then we can have Dushyant.
See, now looking at, again, talking about COVID, are we going to be just looking at, yes, we are going to find some solutions, there is going to be a vaccine, or there is going to be so many other ways of, restricting travel, those whatever, and life will start moving. Okay, and I'm not looking at temporary solutions. What I feel that we should aim for permanent solutions, and we have to look at what is when you're talking about migrant labor, we have to first look at our population, this large population where from the rural areas people are coming over here, and every year they come, they go back. Is this the right way? Yes, they are coming for jobs. Okay, so what are we doing for jobs? Okay, so that such a thing doesn't happen. What are we doing for their housing? When we are looking at housing, is the prices they can, could they afford that kind of a price? So what are we doing for their prices? So then we have to look at the laws. That are our laws, in sync with that the prices should come down. Now these are so many things that one has to see, that these kind of things do not happen. Yes, now it has happened. And what are you going to do? Now these are temporary solutions. We have to get at permanent solutions. And that is the right way to do. Permanent
Please,
solutions.
sir, if I were to counter you on that, sorry. Yes, I just have to add to that conversation. For example, we are looking at permanent solutions to these problems that are coming, like you just said. For example, let's take the first point that you made on migrant, people and they're going to be traveling over and they're going to be coming in. Unfortunately, there's also the rise of automation. We're living in the era where technology is rising to be able to, like, there are a lot of roles today that can potentially be automated. Of course, we were not doing it because of the cheap labor cost that India has as a massive advantage to it. Right, but now those technological solutions, whether we like it or not, the impact that they have on the society and the fabric of that is something that's up to be seen. But I think that those solutions in terms of technology may see a resurgence or may even see a rise. What's your take on that, sir?
Yes, technology, yes, to certain extent, and in certain fields, yes, it will work. But like, let us look at building industry. How much of this is the second largest employment industry in this country. How much of technology is going to be working for us? Yes, in architectural offices, in engineering offices, yes. But finally, laborer on the site is going to be there. Yes, we may go for faster ways of construction, precast, all of that, yes. But the actual labor is going to be there. Now,
Correct.
labor, how are you housing him, in a proper housing? For that,
Correct.
laws have to be changed so that the pricing.
Correct. Correct, absolutely. And I think the way that the technology angle, of course, will come in over here is now, for example, over the past few years, we've also seen a decline in the individual skills of the laborers. So probably now there's also going to be a resurgence of skilling and using technology to have more and more, teams that kind of, are better empowered, I think, than what we've seen in the last few years.
Again, we'll get to the law. So when you are giving licenses to builders, so then if somebody like, a lot of builders do that. They train so many laborers on the, not on the site, but next to it. So all of that has to be done. It's boils down on laws and how we are putting laws and how we are implementing it. That will change a lot of things.
True,
Understood.
everything boils down basically to the bylaws and the government laws, which need to change with time, give it a little more breather for everyone. Same question to Mr. Dushyant Ashar as well. What do you think, sir? What is the role technology is going to be playing in this post-pandemic world?
I think still currently we are building a lot by hand. I mean, buildings are still crafted by laborers. But on the other hand, there is a huge rise of these other techniques and technologies which are coming up. Like, for example, 3D printers now can actually make whole buildings. I mean, without an intervention of humans on the site. That's one way to look. So there are two extremes that we have right now, but I think the major shift, what would define and determine these the futures, is change in materials. Because I think still, like for example, a concrete, steel, wood kind of material, it still involves human labor. We are trying to industrialize 3D printing to make materials follow those materials. So I'm saying that there needs to be a fundamental shift in what materials we choose, and then subsequently how we build. So I see a hybrid sort of a future where there is even involvement of human. At the same time, there are new apparatuses that would come up instead of tools. I mean, this is a shift that I see. Like, instead of tools, you have apparatuses which kind of make buildings.
Sure. So you're saying the material side, the material sciences will kind of help shift the techniques of construction that we are used to in daily life. But with this, maybe sustainable materials coming into the picture, you have a different kind of technique. Architect Krishnan, sir, what do you think about this topic?
I don't think the skill of the labor is never going to go away from our field. I mean, as Dushyant rightly put it, we still have a lot of work done by hand, and the skill of that labor definitely needs to be upgraded with time. Where technology comes in, I think, is in the speed of construction, where it can assist in quickening the process while assisting the skill. So technology can come in and making it more precise, making it more foolproof.
Correct. Correct.
Which can be errors in buildings, which can be detected by technology rather than by human skill.
Absolutely. And I mean, we're going to see the resurgence. Of course, at GMetri, I think we do a few things, right? Like we, for example, train laborers better. So basically, there's massive reskilling that always will be required to be able to make sure that the skill sets improve. We're looking at technologies like virtual and augmented reality, where people can kind of come in and understand what's going on, right? We have BIM models. We have collaborated BIM models that are being worked on by all of the people across the board. Now, the laborer on the ground should be able to, pick the tablet or the device up and be able to get access to that. And I think those are going to be very, very interesting things that come up. Moving to Shri Ratan sir on that, how will technology change the entire, what is the technology role in the post-pandemic era?
First, let's be a little modest about the forecast. We have seen in the futurologist about 2 decades ago, talking about 2000, nothing exactly what we predicted. So, we can't completely predict or forecast what the innovations are disruptive because they beat us. They're always ahead of the forecast. So what we can turn to is we have to address this problem at 2 levels. One is what you have repeatedly emphasized, reskilling. How do you reskill? Whether you have the institutional mechanism to reskill laborers or not. 1. 2, as Afi said, construction is the largest absorber of labor force, employment. Okay. Now, reskilling means probably moving from low-skilled, no-skilled labor to mid-skilled and high-skilled labor. So that transition also has to be both socially and politically managed. So we require 2 things. One is the ability to quickly adjust to reskill, for which both at the individual level and the institutional level, we need to deal with it. And the third thing is also a political question. How will you manage with large sources of employment? So we have to address 3 components, just to quickly sum up. Technologies will be disruptive. We can never forecast them with great, we can do it, but we have to be a little humble about it. 2, we'll have to work quickly to the contingencies, for which the institutions and the modes of training has to be far more agile than what they are. 3, we'll have to take care of the social and the economic conditions of skill.
Sure,
Absolutely.
I think that
just one point to make on that. So tomorrow we have a very interesting session, please, where we're putting together a lot of technologies that are applicable today. So a lot of things that seem to be in the future. Surprisingly enough, a lot of good Indian startups are trying to come in and work in that field. I didn't quite do that, but at the same time, I do understand we need to be modest with our predictions. We need to understand that this is not something that will change overnight. Agreed on that. Over to you, Sharam sir.
Yeah, I totally agree with Mr. Srivatsan. The way he explained that technology is obviously the future, but we need to kind of start off with the smaller things. Think about the migrant workers. Think about how we're going to, basically solve all these problems firsthand after the pandemic or even in emergency situations which come up. And I would like to take this question to Mr. Central Dos. What do you think, Scott, sir? Your
Scott, you're
mic
on
is
mute.
on mute, sir. You're on mute. Yes.
Yeah, I would love to take a dialectic stand in this situation where you look at technology in two different ways. One is technology which will take you global, and the other is technology which will take you local. I think India is at present based in between somewhere. I think we are kind of dreaming about like a complete technology. There are also a lot of people go into crafting because of our past. See, if I'm talking about the latest technology, not only in the execution process, it is also in the way we even think of design. So there are like neuroscientists working with architects who want to kind of do brain mapping and convert them into three-dimensional forms, and then this goes into like 3D printing, like Dushant was mentioning. So that is one way of looking at technology at a global level, where a lot of collaboration possibilities happen, where mind sharing could happen, and the product could eventually become like, which is really good for everybody to create a good environment. And on the other side, there will be people who will be wanting to stay in tradition and in connection with the past. And we will also have to be addressing those issues. And I'm sure a lot of these technological advancement, like Hafiz sir was mentioning, so it will lead to, at the present moment, India will not have to worry about that, because we are still like only 5 to 10% is being addressed by architects, and 95% of the construction happens in a kind of unorganized way. So I think that's my take on this question.
Sure.
Absolutely, sir. I think that's amazing, because we're looking at on one side where we are, looking at more a need for greater collaboration between the sciences. On the other side, there is an intrinsic, cultural almost heritage that we have to the entire construction process that we can kind of take on. I'm going to come in. The audience has already had a very quick poll. The poll is: what is the top one problem that needs to be addressed by design today? I'm pretty sure everyone saw that, but I'm going to take this question over to Hafiz, sir.
What is the top?
Problem that needs to be addressed by design. There was a poll that we ran with the audience. It went like hygiene. Are we looking at planning, mobility and transportation, remote collaboration, reverse migration? What is the one problem that we need to address together as architects, designers?
Population. How? No. That is the most important thing. How we are taking care of our population. And when I say population, our population is the youngest in the whole world. How we are taking care of their employment, of their housing, of their food, everything. Our problem will be population, our problem and our asset also will be population. How we are taking care of our population, take it, in an urban manner, how we are housing them, how we are, where are their employment. To me, population is the main thing. Everything else will determine from there.
Population. That is the one problem we need to solve today. Srivatsan sir, what's your take on that?
I think the main challenge is scaling. So how do we scale up and deliver? Because particularly in Indian context, whatever you do, we can't afford to do a boutique solution. We can as a sort of a incubating thing, but eventually, if it has to make any kind of both social and economic impact, it has to be scaled up. So how do you scale up in design? And we can't take the same route we did about 3 decades ago. It was kind of a Taylorist mass production kind of a thing, which we know what whose value is only economic and profit. But here we have to talk about quality and how it makes a difference to life. So some kind of a mass customization sort of a thing. When I say customization, I'm not meaning in the sense of how you buy your mobile phone, etc., but more addressing local factors without having to kind of change your entire system. I think scaling up and systems design, I think, would be our major challenge.
Absolutely. Taking the building as a product somewhere between, boutique firm and an industry. I think mass customization, definitely. I couldn't agree more on that point. Krishnan, sir, let's get your thoughts on that.
Looking at the points from the poll, I'd pick hygiene, more than personal hygiene, public spaces, how hygiene is looked at as part of design in public spaces and public properties, very important. I think that takes care of a lot of diseases and spread of, COVID and viruses and so on. And in general, brings up a better lifestyle for even the common man. I mean, the public space is not limited to any category of person. So public hygiene, yes.
Hygiene is top priority. Absolutely. Senthil, sir, you're the top problem that we need to look at.
Yeah. I would take a philosophical stand in this case and would say, I think as we come out of any pandemic, which is man-made or human-made, I think we'll have to first keep our mind calm, think small in the beginning, learn from it, make some simple changes, smile at everyone and ensure that it reaches the maximum and start walking. So when we look at, we are already distant ourselves socially with the introduction of the smartphone. So we need to find a way to this technology to connect people. I think it's for the body to go and meet our own mind now. I think that's the distance we are talking about. So I think if technology can really support us, yes, it does. You can be in touch with your families, you can be in touch with your close associates and friends and all that. But somehow we are distancing in real life. So how can technology bring about this closeness back?
Social distancing started with the smartphone. We need to kind of come back and then now need to realign on that. Dushyant, sir, very quickly.
I would also like to say that can we
Senthil, so we're seeing a little bit of
safe socializing rather than calling it social.
What I hear from that sentence, we're seeing a little bit of a patchy connection. You're seeing safe socializing over anything else. That is going to be the top few priority.
Yes,
Dushyant, sir, over to you.
Yeah. I think the challenge for design, I would now put design as a open field. I would not call it architecture design or otherwise. I think the problem here now is to kind of think design differently, and I'm trying to recontextualize the role of designers, and be it fashion, be it architecture, be it material designers. So I'm saying now design has kind of lost. I mean, architecture has kind of lost that kind of context. I think let us look at the problem is kind of dealing with space, and I think anyone who kind of deals with space, I think this new kind of recontextualization would be the key to kind of address multiple issues, because I think architecture design is kind of very much focused and kind of limited in its possibilities. Like in case of the earlier discussion that we were having, tomorrow there could be an IT guy who would be a contractor or a worker on the site. I mean, because of the skill set that one brings onto the site. So I'm saying, I mean, these kind of flows between professions or between skills would kind of change the kind of way we do design. And I think that's where the kind of problem lies. Yeah.
True. So the lines between designers and different fields of design will start basically vanishing. There will be a common design practice. That's what we are understanding from what you've said,
yeah.
Dushyant sir. I would like to get back to the point that Hafiz sir was making about being people-centric. Yesterday on the panel as well with Ratan Tata, we had a conversation where we were talking about design needs to get more human-centric, more personal for everyone. So what do you agree with that, sir? What do you think? What do you mean by people-centric design or human-centric? Architect Hafiz, sir.
See, what Mr. Shivatan said, that, scaling up. What I said about population, it matters the same thing. Scaling up, what I'm saying about housing, what Mr. Tata said about, social housing, how they are going to be uh, living. Now, these are all different words to be tackling this one word, population, and how we are taking care of it. To me, this is the biggest problem, whichever way you look at it. Now, what Mr. Dosa is saying about, going down, yes, how we are taking care of them in rural areas. Can we start with, something mud construction? There are technologies available for that, but then will we have employment for them? So it has to be looked at in several other ways. But how you are tackling that in several, spheres, that is to me the most important thing. What Mr. Tata said also is the same thing. He was talking about whether, where we are going to make vertical slums. No, that is not the that was a way we started it, but now it has to be improved. Where they were, how they were living, from that it has improved to something else. Maybe we don't get 100 marks on that, but now we have to achieve more. So let's get to a second step, and that is what has to be done.
True.
Absolutely, that was very beautifully put, and I would like to kind of just add one more point to it, right? Like when in the same panel we had Peter Rich as well, and what he was kind of saying was, there are a lot of cultural intrinsic elements which, like you said, like are already very prevalent in our heritage, right? For example, the way that we build, the way that in Gujarat we always have the poles, which were which had grown as these centers of community, and I mean we've historically also had all of these dense centers and had certain solutions around it which work pretty well. Is it a time to look back? I'd have Senthil sir very quickly come in on that.
Yes, I would definitely say looking back for hints to build the future is a very interesting way, because a lot of solutions are hidden there. So even if you look at my house in my hometown, you would see like these bathrooms kept separate from the from the living places. And if you look at say for example the housing communities in Rajasthan, if you look at those or the poles in Ahmedabad, there is a very strong connection between the courtyard of the house, which has a pot in the middle, to the entire microclimate of the entire city. I think that's how intrinsic this connect needs to be. And somehow we have lost this connect, and we have been building purely based on the mathematics and the financial aspects. So, and somehow our bylaws also do not support to these kind of what do you call as the regional thinking, which it really doesn't support. If you take Tamil Nadu, for example, the bylaw has been made consistent to FSI for throughout Tamil Nadu. See, India is a country, is an idea. I think it's only for the ease of governance. But we are pluralistic, and we have varied culture, and we are completely different in terms of our climatic zones as well. So I think when we are creating these, I think we need to have like a vision, even the bylaw, which details out in a regional way and address issues so that we still have our connect to the past and can live in future.
Sure. I think from that I get that we need to look at regional spaces. Every region has its own culture, its own identity, and we need to kind of look at that separately, take a pause, and kind of go ahead with that kind of designing. I would like to now get in the topic of education. So as we all are architects and educators at the same time here on the panel, I would like to ask Mr. Srivatsan, what do you think will be the future of design education as a whole? Like, how do you think education of architecture or any other field of design is going to change with the change brought about by this pandemic?
I think there are two, three things which institutions would do. Some they're already thinking, but this current contingency must have brought it back into the focus. Some could be new problems to address. So one is, what is the class of problems that we are going to address through our design students? Okay. Now, these classes of problems will be both speculative and grounded in real conditions. So we have to address two classes of problems. Second, blended learning is going to be a norm. So people have been talking, but now this current situation has just pushed it and made it as that whatever hesitation was there, I think all is gone. So now how do you build on this new possibility? At the same time, what this break also has told us is institutions are actually communities of learning. As much as you do virtual, particularly for design learning, you need to come together. So there is a certain advantage. So the institution now has a better understanding of its function, that it goes blended. It will also re-emphasize its place as a community of learning. Three, I think more and more emphasis is going to be put in making. So there's institutions that are not done will bring workshops right in the center of their courses. The last thing is the institutional nature itself. Now, suddenly this pandemic has checked whether the institutions are capable of adjusting itself to contingencies. It could be pandemic in this case, tomorrow it could be a financial crisis, it could be anything else. Does an institution is agile? Can it be nimble? Can it think on its feet? Can it readjust to these conditions? So the way in which we think about institutional mechanisms, the organizational structure, and the quick time to respond to things that they've not forecasted, that will be something which all strategic divisions in the institutions will pay attention to.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
I totally agree with that. The way we need to kind of move around institutions, kind of make it more flexible in a way, have online or offline classes. But at the end of the day, design education requires a coming together of people to understand design more deeply, I feel. Back to you, Utsav.
I'm gonna bring in Dushyant very quickly. If you could just kind of give your view on that. How is education gonna change?
I think with this current complexity, with this current changing times, and it's now changing quite rapidly, I feel that there is an intervention which is required from institutions and teachers. And in India, I think there has been a lack in terms of practice of research. And I feel that rather than being an educational institute, I think a shift, and what we do also at School of Environment and Architecture, where I'm a faculty, we are now changing positions to look at these futures as being a research institute which does education. And I think that position inculcates this kind of, a way to look at things, rather than looking at architecture just as projects, I think that's where the shift kind of lies, and that's how I see it.
Research, collaboration, people need to work with each other. Hafiz, sir.
See, I think, we are looking at post-COVID. Let us look at education right now. Go to colleges and see what is happening. Do they have proper teachers? I go to a lot of colleges, and the final year students can't even design, can't even draw properly. I think it's to me, we have to do something really drastic for our architectural education. That is the first thing. Architectural services, from what it was to what it is today, has also changed tremendously. So we have to incorporate many more faculties which takes us to that level. So forget this virus. Let us look at the education how it is happening today. Students are getting just promoted. People may not like me to say this kind of a thing, but when we have students coming for internship, we know what they know. And it is very, very sad. And we should not do this to our profession. We have to do something about our educational system.
Absolutely. The system has to kind of change even with or without this pandemic era. The system has been something that needs to kind of anyway catch up. So this is probably a good time, Hafisa, to kind of sum up all of our thoughts and together, because we've had a little bit of time to rethink. That's been one of the things that at least all of us have got. Shri Ratan sir, of course, earlier said that blended learning is going to be the way ahead. Again, getting very similar very similar things. Maybe this is the time where we try to, and again, we're also looking at a lot of calls for industry-wide collaboration and research. This is, I think, a really good time for all of us to come together. Christian sir, I'd like your thoughts on the education angle, please. I'm so sorry. I had a comment from the audience as well on your audio. If you don't mind, just increasing your audio volume a little bit. Thank you so much.
Okay. On education, I think collaborative education is, of course, going to be a very important aspect. But I don't think technology really is going to make a big shift in the way education happens, because design education, for example, really has to do with a lot of handiwork. As much as we look at skilled labor and hands-on experience being most important in the design field, I think even in education, it needs to go in from a very basic level, because it has to do with a lot of human emotions. Design has to do with emotions also, and expression of those emotions in the right manner. So I'm not too sure if technology will take it way beyond. It has to go back to understanding how basic education happened before, much before, I'm saying, from the Gurukul stage. So we have to go out for the education rather than be in classrooms.
We have to go out, we have to step out, learn and do. Hafisa said that, a lot of people who are coming in for internships, he's not seeing the, the kind of quality that he did earlier. Probably it would, more of industry access to them, more virtual presence, remote presence. I mean, again, we spoke earlier about how technology can empower people to see the site or look at the site from different angles. Maybe the students can have access to all of these things and processes a little bit. I think there are a lot of very interesting angles to this. Senthil sir, do you have any comments on the education?
Utsav, sorry, I'm kind of intervening, but we have lots and lots of audience questions pouring in, and due to lack of time, we have second panel line up. Please allow me to ask few of the audience questions, if that's okay with you.
Go for it. Yes, we have 12 minutes.
Thanks, Utsav. But quite an insightful panel. I am a designer myself before jumping into technology and startups, and I was remembering my past days. So it's quite wonderful. So jumping on to audience question, and this is so we are combining the common questions we have. Currently, we have 2,500, more than 2,500 people joining in from Zoom, and we are also on Facebook Live. So my first question particularly is coming from Lakshmi Arya, and this is particularly for Hafiz sir. So Hafiz sir, Lakshmi is asking you, do you think the apartment design, the way the industry is making these days, especially apartments in Mumbai, need to see a change?
Neha, Hafisa has had to step out for a second. So if you have any other question, we'll come back to that as soon as he's available.
Sure. I'll come out. I'll go to my next question then. And this is coming from Pakan Kumar. And he wants to ask that to know the impact of COVID-19 on retail design. He says that earlier we used to design organized retail as more of social interaction spaces, but now we need to decentralize the same. Can any of the panel member help him understand the impact?
Anyone wants to pick this question up? I think it's Hafisa.
I was just outside. I didn't hear the question properly. Just tell me.
Sure. So should I go to the first question, which was particularly asked to Hafiz sir?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Hafiz sir, do you think the apartment design, the way the industry is making this design, especially apartments in Mumbai, need to see a change?
I think it's a very nice question for me. Today, we have started something like zero waste architecture. In that, not only we are talking about how to compress the apartment without compressing the actual size of the rooms, because money, price is very, very important. But at the same time, they want proper facilities. So what we were designing a two-bedroom, say for 850 square feet, in the olden days, carpet. Today, we are designing it for 525, 560, 575, and giving the same room sizes. Okay, how? You will say how? What we are doing, we are reducing on unwanted spaces which were previously considered to be there. The core, the external areas. So yes, the need for smaller, more compact, more efficient houses is the norm of today. And you're talking about Mumbai. Yes, I can tell you. Again, I will say that the number of people and our earning capacity is not increasing all over. So it has to be affordable, and it has to be very, very appropriate.
Yeah. Makes sense, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'll quickly move
I
on. Sorry.
I'd take the retail. I'd position the retail question to Senthil sir. He'd volunteered to take that one.
Yeah.
The question, just to summarize for everyone, the audience as well, is that retail spaces were initially meant to be a very community-driven. People or people would come in and socialize a lot. That's changed definitely after this, or has it changed after that? And how do we kind of adapt to that change? The question over to Senthil sir. I think we're back to internet problems. Shri Ratan sir, would you like to answer that one?
Okay, I can make an attempt. See, the retail spaces are now treated more like art galleries, correct? So most of the high-end retail, and the small retail spaces are actually an sort of an enlightened provisional store kind of a model. So so the nature of spaces will necessarily has to change depending on who that's what it wants to do and what it is about, and also the economic context in which it is operating. So so I don't know. It's easy to give a very sort of a common answer that would fit different things. It's actually a difficult question, so we'll have to probably answer on a context-to-context basis.
Understood. Understood. I think we're heading. Thanks so much, Neha, for those audience questions. I think we're just heading towards the
Towards the end of the section, and I think we can take just one more, because this is many people have posted that question. What impact the panelists see on the healthcare design, and what according to them will be a design solution in this scenario?
Let's also make that the closing comments from everybody. The last one, let's get a quick, a feeler from everybody on this. How is healthcare going to change? Let's start with Hafiz sir.
How is healthcare going to change? Okay, I think whatever I have been saying, it starts with how we are going to design for 1.3 billion people effectively. How we are going to house the slum dwellers, because in Mumbai, every second person lives in a slum. In Chennai, every third person. The same thing happens for Calcutta and Delhi. This is the big problem, and unless and until we solve that and get it to each and every one, then and then only we are saying that we are going to solve the health problem. We are not talking about a few thousands of people or a lack of people staying in cities who are already living in proper pakka houses, who already have water supply, who already have proper toilets. We have to address our solutions for the people who are not having proper houses. If we solve that, then and then only we will say that yes, we have solved the health problem, we have solved the water problem, we have solved, the health
Yeah.
problem.
We are dealing with economies of scale, and it needs to be a bottom-up approach. Definitely, sir. Tushyan, sir, over to you. Your quick one-line on how has healthcare changed.
I think I have three words: awareness, education, and sensitization.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Srivatsan, sir.
I think what the pandemic has shown is healthcare accessibility is the key point, and in the current thing we have seen only state intervention is able to deliver that. So, for those who have been arguing that privatization of health would sort of solve the problem, it could only do partially. So given our numbers and costs, etc., I think the focus on how well you design government hospitals, how do they make, and more of them, that would be a key issue to think about.
Absolutely. That's echoing a lot of the thoughts that are across the panel. Krishnan, sir, your comments on that.
I think when we're looking at public healthcare, I mean, that's where the focus should be. Design with regards to public healthcare, again, I'd go back to understanding hygiene in the public part of the public healthcare, and not necessarily the operation theaters or the specific zones, but the public part of it needs to be really better planned and better accommodated for the population that Rafi sir is talking about. So yes, but public healthcare more than private healthcare.
Absolutely. The Senthil sir, yes. Senthil sir, would you want to come in on that very quickly on how is healthcare going to really change, or how can we design better for healthcare? Just bring in the design perspective to that as well. So you're on mute. I think we're losing him. Again, over in yes.
Utsav, I think we have to move on. We have a panel at 12. So
Yes.
Quickly, well, that was a wonderful panel discussion. Thank you, everyone, all the panelists. It was pleasure to host you all, and that was quite an insightful panel. Quickly, few announcements for the second panel for the audience here. Our second panel starts in few minutes at 12 noon. Don't forget, so you will be getting a link for a donation for the PM Care Fund. We are not charging anything for the discussion, and this is our way towards contributing to the society, to the country, and we request you all to donate some amount for the PM Care Fund through the link below. About joining for the third day, we have extremely very good stalwart leaders tomorrow again joining in, and we have some very, very good technological solutions which can be used by the audience, by the panelists themselves, and the speakers, by the industry. So don't forget to join and log in tomorrow again to get hooked to this technology solutions which the startups are going to present tomorrow. Now I'm quickly going to invite my co-founder Amit Jain for a quick brief presentation about CorpGini. Amit, you're here.
Sure. Before that, I'd like to just give a thank you note to everyone on the panel. Thank you so much for joining in. It was very insightful. Hopefully people have learned. The students who are logged in have got a lot of insight through this panel. We have architect Hafiz staying on with us for the next panel as well. Thank you everyone else. Namaste and be safe in this pandemic.
Thanks a lot, Sharam. Thank you, Sharam. Thanks for your time. Thanks, everyone. Hafiz, I'd request you to stay on for the next panel as well. We can do a quick 5-minute break or 2-minute break for you as you'd requested. Neha and Amit, let's very quickly bring Amit in and yes.
So yeah, Amit, you're here. Over to you.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I think I'm not an architect, but I'm really, really, inspired by the discussion which had, and I was just looking for a quote. So I want to go give a quote from Norman Foster. As an architect, you design for the present with an awareness of the past for a future which is essentially unknown. Now, I believe that today we have come to this unique stage in our lives where the unknown is unprecedented, and therefore the expectation from the architecture community is unparalleled to thrive the real estate and construction industry. We do have a very unique format tomorrow where we will be bringing innovative solutions that can help real estate industry in improving processes, designing sales, reducing time to construction, and many more. That is a need of an hour. I would just want to kind of do a quick a quick presentation, which is just a 4 slides, and this is very important for tomorrow's discussion, and therefore just kind of give a little brief overview of what we've been doing here. So about CorpGini, this is just a solution provider where we bring solution providers and corporates together, where we can work in identifying opportunities for the solution providers, but at the same time the problem statement which the industry is facing can come on a single digital platform to solve. Especially for the real estate industry, we've identified a lot of problems where we think the technology can solve, and technology can be an important important parameter here. So we're looking at solutions, maybe an AI solution, IoT solution, AR, VR solutions to solve the real estate industry problem. We're looking for how do we reduce the paperwork? How do we improve the efficiency? Can there be a sustainable material for construction, or can we forecast expense and revenue? There are a lot of solutions we have received from across the globe, and some of them will be presenting tomorrow. We also have initiated a startup crisis fund. This is a fund for helping startups, especially in the real estate, because this is linked to the real estate, but we are otherwise also doing, who have solution, who want to kind of look at investments. And there is a PM Care fund, which we would request you to donate, and this will go to the PM Care funds of all the money we collect here. Tomorrow, day 3, April 22 at 11 a.m. We'll see you. So that's it from me. I just wanted to kind of ensure that we work towards solutions, and looking forward to the next panel discussion. If you want to write down anything, you can write to tanya@corpgini.com, and we will be able to take your solutions. And if you're interested in any solutions, also write it to us and we'll be able to take that. Thank you from my side, and I'm looking forward to the next panel discussion. Over to you, Utsav and